Ever heard of AI? No, stupid. Not artificial intelligence. Apple intelligence.
AI, Apple Intelligence, intelligence, silicon, generative models, that Slack message to your boss. Apple Intelligence, the best way to get your point across isn't with words, it's with intelligence.
Duh. All cynicism aside, I honestly believe Apple might have just changed video editing forever. And I want to talk about it. So, if you didn't get a chance to watch the Apple event, I did it for you. And so I watched the event because A, I'm interested, B, my wife and I need new phones. They talked about the new iPhone 16. In that, they also pretty much only talked about Apple AI. There was a lot of cool features in there, like email summarizations or using natural language to generate emojis. And right after they talked about their emojis, they started talking about something and they just passed it to the point where, like, when I was trying to do research for this video, I screen recorded it and I was going through the footage and I could barely find it. I had to scroll through and watch it like 3 times before I could find the one little moment that kind of caught my attention.
Just describe it.
There it is.
And Apple Intelligence will find it for you.
You can even find a specific point in a video.
It even works for getting straight to a specific moment in a video.
My mind immediately went to wedding filmmaking. I honestly believe if this feature ever makes its way into Final Cut Pro, it will turn Final Cut Pro into the bar none best option for most wedding filmmakers. So let's explore. But before we do that, I want to tell you about our sponsor for this video today. It's Tamron, makers of some of the world's greatest lenses. They have a combination of value, durability, build quality, and of course, they gotta look beautiful. You gotta have a nice looking image for that wedding video. That was like a really bad accent. Forget about that. But you, filmmaker, you don't forget about Tamron. They're incredible lenses, they look beautiful. And of course, we wouldn't talk about a product that we ourselves wouldn't use. We use Tamron lenses and we think you'll be happy using them as well. Check them out. Pretty much the process of culling a wedding is a manual process. You put all the footage in and you have to go through and organize it. And a lot of people do it in a lot of different ways. We kind of organize it by type of day and which camera we shot on, but there's probably a lot of ways people do it. But it can be a time-consuming process because not only do you have to organize the footage, but you also need to go through and actually pick the parts that you want to use in your film, which also can be very time-consuming. Now, the photo world has some of these kind of tools for culling and organizing, and the idea that this could finally be working its way into video editing is actually really exciting.
This is an extraordinary step forward.
The amount of time we spend doing things that really anyone could do. I always say when it comes to culling and organizing, like, if you understand the parameters, a robot can do this, and I truly mean that. Video editing has to change. We know this.
Y'all know that.
There's a lot of cool stuff happening. Bigger and bigger files, better codec, richer colors. All of this stuff is moving in one direction, which is, well, bigger files and more video and more resources needed to actually process it. And people's expectations of what we are doing as video editing is not getting lower, it's getting higher, especially when it comes to speed and turnaround. And if we don't start getting some tools, guys, that help us keep up with the demand and the pace required, we're gonna start losing opportunities. It's pretty much gonna end up being the people who can turn stuff around quickly and the people who can't. AI-assisted culling and selects and any kind of labeling and organization tools are just a no-brainer. So I wanted to kind of tell you guys a couple things I hope they're able to do with Apple Intelligence in Final Cut Pro, but don't just leave it at Final Cut Pro, because honestly, I know that Adobe is working on their own AI, which they trained on a bunch of YouTubers. I don't think this AI thing is gonna be limited to just Apple Intelligence and Apple products. I think whatever Apple does or whatever Adobe does, everyone is gonna try to do in their platform. I'm gonna give you a couple things I hope Apple does with AI, and then one thing that I hope camera manufacturers can figure out a way to do that would really take AI to the next level. The first thing I hope they do, better culling and organizing. Imagine being able to say, everything that happens at this location, put in this folder. Everything from this camera, add to the meta camera name Cam1. Just logic and AI features that would allow you to naturally and automatically organize your footage, I think would be really, really big. Yes, you can have some level of automation based on however you set up your project templates, but it's not foolproof and it does require some manual labor right now. And I would love it if Apple could just handle that for me. Number two, that I really hope they do, is using AI to choose selects. And I don't just mean like the clips that you want to put in a timeline, but even the ability to look at a clip and figure out which part is in focus, which part is most stable. Helping you choose the best parts of your clip, not just the best clips, would be a real game changer and really amazing. The ability to just find good looking clips and quickly organize them would be awesome. This third thing is a bit crazy. Honestly, I hope they try automated editing. I hope they allow us to craft our own algorithms to put our films together.
You'll also be able to create an entire movie just by typing a description of whatever you have in mind. Apple Intelligence will automatically find relevant photos and videos and smartly arrange them into a storyline.
Imagine training Final Cut Pro on how you like to organize and rough cut your wedding films. Something as simple as like, all my getting ready stuff at the beginning, all my ceremony stuff in the middle, all my reception stuff in the end, and intersperse B-roll of the couple portraits. I know that's ambitious, and I know for some people, they might feel like they're kind of taking away their creativity. I don't personally believe that. I mean, you're never just gonna ship it and send it to the client. But I think just getting yourself like 80% there using AI and then going through and organizing it, especially if you're the type of person that tends to edit your wedding films in a similar way every time. I mean, this could be a real game changer. You need to understand this. Wedding filmmaking makes roughly 50% as much as wedding photography. And wedding filmmaking has a lot of disadvantages because it takes us so much longer to deliver our product. The ability to edit our content faster would make a huge impact on our usefulness in the wedding industry, especially with wedding planners and vendors who are looking for content immediately following that wedding. People want their stuff faster. And I think honestly, it would be smart for a lot of people to, be faster. But it's hard because you want to do a good job. There's so many things that go into video editing that really are not that creative and anyone can do. It's that final 20% that I think really has the biggest impact. Some products and some videos don't need that much of an artistic touch. They just need to get done. Anything that helps me finish faster is a game changer for me as an artist. And the last thing I wanted to point out is something that there's a technology limitation, and I don't know if this is even possible. I gotta be honest, I don't know a ton about how this stuff works. It's just an idea. I hope camera companies figure out a way to bake in more metadata into their compressed files. And let me explain. If you've ever worked with raw video, you know that there's a ton of information baked into that metadata, like ISO and white balance and a lot of things about the file that you just don't get when you shoot a typical H.264, H.265 .mov kind of file on most video cameras. In my experience, a lot of the sensor information is actually not being passed on into the meta of the final file. If you're looking for evidence that I think we just need a fresh perspective on editing and really kind of to stop settling for the status quo when it comes to how quickly we can do our jobs, just look at something like CapCut. Now, is CapCut the best thing in the world? Is it ready for pro use? Are there features that we need that it doesn't have? Of course, but the fact that they're not held down by kind of the old way of doing things has allowed them to reimagine it. And honestly, it's like pretty good. It has a lot of things built into it, like, really nice caption generation that Final Cut just doesn't have. And why not? I think it's just because in a lot of ways we're kind of stuck in our old way of doing things, and also because I think video editors and video people in general, we don't really push the people that hard. We complain about something like Premiere, but we never really push that hard to really get what we need out of the products that we need. And I think the time for that is changing, and we often do it with cameras, but I'm telling you, we need to start expecting more from our editing platform. I'm looking for that future, right? Where I can just sit down with Final Cut Pro and I can say something like, cut out all the ums and ahs in this interview. Cut out the gaps, tighten it up, you know, maybe even some remix features like, hey, try speeding this one up. Give me a few more edit points. But I would pretty much settle for organize my footage for me. That would be great too. And I honestly believe they're gonna probably do something like that. If you're a Final Cut Pro editor and you kind of dismiss the other products that Apple might make, let me remind you that it's the same company. And whatever they're doing on one side of the company pretty much always works its way to the other side of the company. Things that are going into the phones and into that phone operating system very often, almost always, work their way in some form or fashion into the desktop environment. I hope to God that's the case when it comes to some of these culling features that they're going to be putting in Apple Intelligence. Honestly, I can't wait. And if I'm totally wrong about this, well, I'll make a video complaining about that later. And if I'm right, why don't you like and subscribe to Wedding Film School? We have tons of content out there for wedding filmmakers, whether it be something like this, where we're just kind of talking about an industry-specific issue for video editors, gear reviews, and of course, wedding filmmaking BTSs. We've been around a long time making content for wedding filmmakers, and we hope that you love it. And if you do, well, reward us with a little like, a little follow, and of course, hit that alert bell. That's enough for me today. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. What do you think? Do you think AI features built into your editing platform are something you want? Are they something that you use? Let me know in the comments. Let me know which feature you would most like Apple to implement in Final Cut Pro. Have a great day, guys.